you did this to me.
Ooh.
You sent me back and put me in this terrible situation. Last week we mentioned some progress that we had made on looking at some of our characters, on a major plot point, and then you also mentioned an idea you had of kind of like a cyclical mentorship between multiple main characters. So in today's spoiler video, we're going to look into that in a little bit more detail in the context of our story. And then I have a little bit of a twist that I want to share to that cyclical mentorship idea. I haven't shared this with him yet, so we're going to get your live reaction to it and kind of see what your thoughts are on that.
Looking forward to that.
But if you haven't seen our last spoiler video and you want to provide a little bit of context to what we're going to discuss, that's going to be right up here. And with that, why don't you go ahead and talk about how this cyclical mentorship works in our story and with our characters.
Sure. We talked last time about having really four main characters. Obviously, there would be one primary main character that carries the entire story, but three supporting main characters. And we had an idea of who two of them would be, and over the last week, I guess,
Yes.
we've been able to identify or propose a couple of other main characters and who they would be. In one of the earlier spoiler videos, we talked about the idea of genetically modified humans being sent back in time. Expand on that a little bit and recognize that our primary main character is one of those. Our secondary main character is also one of those genetically modified humans sent back in time, but she has had more contact somehow that we haven't yet figured out. She's had more contact with the scientists who sent them back. So in that way, she plays the role of mentor or guide to the primary main character in helping him to understand the role that they've been designed to play in the overall story. Part of what they discover is that they are intended to... Well, they discover at some point that they need to be pulled forward into time, close to when the scientists had sent them back. So they are pulled forward into time. When they meet yet another person who is our third main character, and he was recently hired at the organization that was doing all of this work. We discover later, big spoiler, that he is in fact the second main character's twin brother, who was not pulled forward in time, but actually lived out his life and grew up. So he is 30 years old. His twin sister is 13. And so because he has lived more life and yet has so much shared with her, he then plays a role of mentor in her life, in guiding her through life, having been in the foster care system, having grown up through that adoption. But because he is new in the organization, he then seeks help from somebody who has been involved, a scientist who originally was opposed to the idea and voiced her opposition, but ended up kind of being pressured into participating in the whole project despite her reservations. So she ends up becoming a mentor to him to help him navigate the system. And because of her regret, maybe a little bit of guilt and shame having participated in this whole experiment sending back genetically modified humans, Arnold, the primary main character, I say Arnold because that's the name that we've been using, the primary main character then, through his life and his growth, is able to really help her come to terms with the good that has come out of what she participated in, and serve as a guide or mentor in helping her to heal and recover from the regret and shame that she felt. So that's kind of how that cycle of mentorship could work.
So my twist to that, and to help them out with a little bit of this, I'm going to give a little bit more detail, and that is that our secondary main character, well, our first main character, our thought right now is he gets sent back, he gets pretty much immediately adopted into a loving family. Our second main character grows up in, our thought is right now, kind of grows up in more of a foster care system and doesn't have a loving family for a long time. So she's dealing with a much more difficult life than our main character.
And I think we talked about her having been moved from foster to foster to foster.
Foster
so
family
unstable.
to foster family. Very unstable situation. Her situation is much more difficult than our primary main character. So after they are all get pulled forward into the future, and we have this fourth main character who is dealing with guilt, and our primary main character is trying to support her, our secondary main character could possibly be dealing with anger at the fourth main character.
Ooh.
You did this to me.
Ooh.
You sent me back and put me in this terrible situation. And so there's this dynamic where the first main character's mentor in one scenario almost becomes the adversary, where he is trying to support the fourth main character and encourage her and show her the good that happened, or say, I had a good life, and support her and help her through this. Meanwhile, his mentor is taking the opposite side and kind of getting angry at her and getting bitter and resentful for the things that she did in the past and is now feeling guilt over.
And he's stuck in the middle.
He's stuck in the middle because
goodness.
in some areas she is his mentor. In other areas, she's the antagonist, completely going against, and possibly this difference of opinion between the first and second main character on the fourth main character can drive a rift in that mentorship relationship.
Wow. And not that any of us have ever experienced anything like that in real life. Okay, that's another interesting twist there.
And that kind of plays into a discussion that we had just before recording this video about if we're having all of these characters having a mentor, mentoring someone, they're all kind of following a parallel path. And I don't think we want everybody's path to be the exact same. And this kind of throws a wrench in that and provides some twists so that way people's story is a little bit different and there's more dynamics going on there.
And the whole idea of not everybody having exactly the same parallel storyline also pulls in some conversation of an article that I just discovered this week and shared in our collaboration system about the fact that the hero's journey is not the only character arc, that there are multiples, and there's at least a dozen different potential character arcs that we can explore. Haven't even looked at them yet, but I think as we explore this twist that you've brought in, opens up some of the opportunities there.
So do you remember seeing anything in the research you've done or in any stories where there's a mentor who kind of becomes antagonistic to their mentee?
Oof. Mentor antagonistic to the mentee. I have not come across that. I'll admit I haven't done a whole lot of depth until this week. It was like hero's journey and that's it. So this is all newish to me. But your twist seems really intriguing. Well,
in that case, we'll ask them. Are there any stories that you've come across where there is a mentor who becomes antagonistic to their mentee? I can't think of any off the top of my head. You said you can't think any.
Not right off the top of my head.
But if there's something like that, something similar that you've come across, and if you liked that dynamic, if you didn't like that dynamic, drop a comment, let us know where that was and what you thought of it. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts down in the comments below.